Well, good morning. Welcome, one and all. My name is Sandra Savage, and I'm this year's club president. It's a joy to be part of a club that is so powerful and important in my life, and I speak about it all the time. We have a great agenda for you, which you'll see in the chat in just a few minutes. But I would like to, let's see, I'm going to pull up my agenda so I know what I'm supposed
You forgot our Tamara, our Sergeant at Arms.
Time to begin. Dear friends, please join in. To all of you who joined the meeting, we extend our warmest greeting. My name is Tamara Evans. I'm your Sergeant at Arms. I'll get the meeting started. I'm in charge of time alarms. Whether you are guest or member, we will ask you to remember that our meetings start at 9 in the morning Pacific time. Every month we meet on Fridays, just the first and the third. We prepare inspiring speeches and enjoy the spoken word. Our club has noble goals and we offer many roles. Choose the role to your taste. There is no time to waste. Don't forget to change your name in accordance with the role. We all focus on the teamwork, for perfection is our goal. After every presentation, we provide evaluation with the best intent, just to help the members grow. Guests, you have to be attentive. You may also be called on. Everybody should contribute to Table Topics Marathon. Masters of Evaluation, dear members, welcome guests. We need your full attention, for we have a few requests. Your cell phones should be muted and the ether not polluted with the sounds of festive pets. And there are some more requests. Your unnecessary actions can be looked at as distractions. Let them stay behind the scene. For a while, turn off the screen. But as soon as you are done, turn the camera back on. We would like to see your faces. Now that everybody's taken places, our president, Sandra Savage, charming, humorous, and more, cannot wait to take the floor.
I smile so much every time you go through your opening remarks. The poetry is just so lovely. I'd like to also take this time to welcome our guests so that you feel welcome from the very second you step into the room, so to speak. And so, Nadia, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, how long you've been in Toastmasters, and any other relevant information?
Sure, I'll be happy to. So I was born in Europe, in Scandinavia. I grew up in Britain, been living in Spain for a while, trying to get myself to relocate to LA. And I've been a toastie for about 10 years, on and off. It was started off in Scandinavia when I was in a very bad situation. In fact, toasties kind of saved my life because I was unemployed, depressed, not in a good place, so to speak. Toastmasters really saved my life and made me a lot happier. Happy to be here. And if anybody wants to know more about me, I'll be happy to answer questions. I will enjoy the show today. Thank you
very much. And at some time during the meeting, you'll get a chat from Muriel, who's our Vice President of Membership.
Oh, yes.
Tell you more about that.
Thank you.
Hi, Nadia. Good morning.
Denise, say hello to all of us. Tell us about yourself, where you're coming in from, and how long you've been a Toastmaster.
Hello, everyone. I am Denise Johnson, and I am the Vice President of Public Relations in the Prosperity Toastmasters Club in District 103. We are a virtual club, and I've been a part of them since May of last year.
All right. And if you are willing to participate in table topics, and we'll be telling you more about that later, we do something really fun called SNAP, or SNAP evaluations for our table topics. So be prepared for that, or it'll keep you on your toes. And again, Muriel will be contacting you about membership. And in fact, since I've been talking about Muriel, I'd like to turn it over to her for a few minutes. She's going to offer something very special this morning, and that's our educational moment.
Thank you, Madam President, and greetings to each and every one of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, I'm so happy to be able to share just a few moments about some of the things that's going on in Toastmasters. And I just welcome each guest as well as my fellow Toastmasters. One of the things that has been a buzz within Toastmasters lately is the changes that are coming down the pipe, particularly with our educational platform. And so I wanted to just share a couple of things about what is going on. So I checked with TI to make sure I'm giving that exact correct information. And any of you that need to verify what I'm saying, you too can call 720-439-5050, extension 2, the education department, to see if Toastmaster Shabazz is giving the accurate information. Anyway, let's get started. So according to TI, Pathways is going by the wayside in a way of speaking. It's going to be replaced by another learning management system, LMS as they call it. And what is going to happen is the 11 paths that we have all been accustomed to and have loved so much, several of them are going away. And there will only be 6 remaining. And those who are working in a path that is going to be eliminated, it's going to be good news for you that you will still be able to continue in that path until you complete it. I wanted to share the 6 paths that will be remaining. And let's see. Dynamic leadership is going to stay. Engaging humor. John, you may be happy to hear about that. Maybe not. I'm looking at your face. Motivational strategies, presentation mastery, persuasive influence, and visionary communication. Those 6 will remain. The other, I guess that would be 5, will be eliminated. But those, as I said a few moments ago, those working in the paths that are going to be eliminated will still be able to continue until you finish your level 5 or your reflections on your path. What else did I want to share? I wanted to share that they are adding 2 other avenues for education called explorations. And these are focused on inclusive leadership and what is the other one called? It's focused on inclusive leadership and well as presenting yourself online. So we will not only have those 6 pathways to choose from, but we will also be able to choose explorations. And those 2 were created by the board of directors because they felt that the trends going towards being able to better present yourself online is very important. And they want Toastmasters to be able to take advantage of that, as well as inclusive leadership. GCP credit for explorations. Well, they have not determined whether we will get credit for that or not, hopefully before the end of the year and before they fully launch this new learning management system, we'll know more about it. I wanted to address a couple of things that I keep hearing people talking about. What are the limitations on speech topics for Toastmasters? Well, to quote, other than adhering to the requirements of your project, there are no limits on speech topics. Members often hear through the grapevine that speeches concerning politics, religion, and sex are forbidden by Toastmasters International. This is not true. So for those of you who want to explore other topics that maybe have been considered controversial, now you know that you can explore politics, religion, or sex. I see that my time is up, so I don't know if I have time for a question or two. And Judith has given me the Apollo hook, so I will turn it back over to Madam President, I do believe.
And I'm going to roll it right over to our lovely Toastmaster of the day, Tamara Evans, who's always a joy to listen to, but hopefully we'll be entertained with more of her poetry as well. So Tamara, please be our wonderful Toastmaster of the day.
Now,
There we go.
Good. Thank you. Today I'm using my phone instead of computer. That's why it's so difficult to manipulate. But luckily, everything is okay now. And I have picked the theme for our meeting today. Train your brain. What can we train our brain to do? Many things, actually. But today, let's talk about how we can train our brain to think positive. Imagine that our mind is a garden. Negative thoughts are like weeds. Nobody plants them, but they will grow all over the garden of our mind. If we pay no attention and put forth no effort, our garden will be overrun with weeds. However, if we decide to beautify our garden, we must pull out all the weeds one by one, even when they pop up again. Then we will plant beautiful flowers and plants, vegetables and fruit trees. Luckily, positive thinking is a skill that anyone can learn. And we will be talking a little later about a few tips which will help to train our brain to think positively. Right now, I think I would like to introduce the important people without whom our meeting won't be possible. And as I introduce them, before they will explain in a few minutes what their role is, I will ask them one question each, and I expect a very brief answer in 1 or 2 sentences, but it's very important for our further continuation of our theme. So please cooperate, help me out. Okay, so we will start introducing our Zoom master for today, John White. John, a question to you. Please mention a few things you enjoy doing.
I enjoy listening to your speech, your melodic musical speech. I enjoy billiards. I enjoy watching sports when my team wins. And I enjoy learning new things like Zooming. Thank you for asking.
Thank you very much. Now, please, will you tell us in 1 or 2 sentences what your role today is? What will you be helping us with?
Of course, Zooming wasn't enough. You'd like me to expand on that? I was concerned of putting too many weeds in my explanation. Yes, I will be allowing people to enter the Zoom space. I'll be watching for people who perhaps have not unmuted, who have unmuted themselves and are speaking when they shouldn't be. I'll just try to tidy up the meeting so that it is pristine and only has lovely flowers growing. And I will eradicate all weeds decisively.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's such a wonderful connection you made with our theme and your explanation of your role. Okay, now the next important person is general evaluator. It will be Harold G. today.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you.
Could you please answer such a question? Please name a few things you are grateful for.
I'm grateful for a delicious meal. I'm grateful to go out and walk in the early morning and enjoy fresh air. I'm grateful to put lawn food on my garden. Yes, and read a good book. That's what and be a positive thinker.
Thank you very much. And now, please, in a few words, tell us what you will focus on today as a general evaluator.
As a general evaluator, I will introduce the word of the day, the gentleman who's going to present the word of the day, and the timer, and also identify, confirm everyone's in place to perform their duties, the speakers, the evaluators, and that sort of thing. And also help support you, the Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. I will definitely need this support. Thank you. Okay, and now we will introduce our grammarian, Ray Sweeney. Please, Ray, can we have a look at you? Here you are. And now, will you tell us a few things you enjoy doing? I know that one of them is golf and exercising on the beautiful beach in Spain, but please add something else to it.
Thank you, Tamara. I certainly will. I love sunrises, sunsets, full moons. They make you feel special. I also like, as you mentioned, exercising. And there's nothing better than getting out on a bicycle to enjoy the freedom of being outdoors. And what could be better than Toastmastering as well? So there's a few for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And now please introduce the word of the day and tell us whatever else you consider necessary for us to know about your role today.
I certainly will, thank you. And fellow Toastmasters, this evening we're going to beautify our gardens, helping Tamara pull out those weeds, as John mentioned earlier. And the way we do that is with momentum. Today's word is momentum. So a good example, the wagon gained momentum as it rolled down the hill. What is momentum? It's mass in motion. Strength or force gained by motion. And I'm going to challenge you as the grammarian tonight. I want you to look and see if you can use some quotes, some paraphrasing, or perhaps some tricolons. And if you're really feeling brave, how about trying a rising tricolon? Now, what is that I hear you say? Julius Caesar, I came, I saw, I conquered. Rising tricolon. And at the end, we're going to have some fun. I'm going to give you a little quiz. Who said what? So keep your ears peeled. Back to you, Tamara.
Thank you very much. We will try to accept your advice, to show our understanding and to use the word momentum in our speech. And now it's time to introduce also a very important person, time demonstrator. And this will be Judith today.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Could you please now name a few things you are grateful for before you explain the timer? So, please.
I'm just grateful for my health. I am grateful that so far I live here, and I am so grateful to be the timer of Masters of Evaluation.
Thank you. Now please explain what it means.
So I will explain my role. Let me see if I can put my hand back. So as I learned from one of my other club from the Oregonians, that We start on time, we end on time, and we have a good time. And as a timer, I time the speeches, evaluations, and table topics. So since we were talking about flowers, I thought, okay, let's do that. So let's see, here we go. This is 5 to 7 minutes. That's 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and 7 minutes. And then you have 30 seconds to finish your speech. Let's see, what do we have? Table topics is 1 minute, 1.5, and 2 minutes. Evaluation, 3 minutes is 2.5, and 3 minutes. And then you'll have 30 seconds or the ends to complete your task. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Well, thank you so much, Judith. It's a wonderful idea. You're so creative thinking about these flowers. We are talking about gardens today. Our mind is a garden. And of course, everybody would like to have such beautiful multicolored flowers growing in their garden. Thank you. Now it's time to start the speeches. And we will ask Jasper to introduce Rosie with the first speech. Jasper, before you do this, can you tell us in one sentence what are a few things you enjoy doing?
What I enjoy doing? Well, the main thing is I enjoy learning. So if you have a great book recommendation, let me know. Love to learn about that.
Okay, wonderful. We'll do that. Now, could you please introduce Rosie? Do you know some information about her speech, her pathway, please?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I am looking forward to evaluating Rosie's speech. She is working on the presentation mastery pathway and her current project is a level 3 elective, Focus on the Positive. I look forward to hearing Rosie's story and the momentum she can build in focusing on the positive. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Now we are all eager to hear from Rosie. Her speech is called Just Breath. So, Rosie Flaherty, Just Breath. Just Breath, Rosie Flaherty.
Have you ever been in the situation that everything around you is just out of control? You just feel like so overwhelmed that you don't think you could overcome this. Just breathe. Everything will be okay. My journey to relocate from California to Massachusetts was very challenging. Through these challenges, I learned the importance of staying grounded, even when everything feels like just out of control. In January 2024, we decided to move to Massachusetts, and we had a discussion with our loan officer. She proposed that we could use the fair market value rent of our California house to complete the purchase for the Massachusetts house without having renters. We thought that was amazing. We love this special program. So we just focused on looking for a house in Massachusetts from January to April. Finally, we got an accepted offer for the house that we like in Massachusetts. Now All we need to just close the deal. 4 weeks before closing the deal, underwriter sent me an email saying that there was one missing item, rental agreement. We cannot close the deal without rental agreement. It means we need to have renters in our house to close the deal in Massachusetts. We were like, what? We thought we were in the special program. The officer never discussed about us about renters again since January. We are facing the risk of losing the house deposit, losing the house deal, dealing with all the scheduling of household transfer, vehicle transfer, time off to move, starting date at new jobs in Massachusetts. We were so panicked. Everything was a mess. We posted the house in the market right away. Reduced the rent in the same day, the next day, the day after that, just because we need a renter to close the deal in Massachusetts. We absolutely do not want to sell Massachusetts house. We do California house. So we were so stressed. We just like, just breathe. Everything will be fine. We will find a renter. It was a mess, but just 1 week before the deadline, we found a renter. We were so happy. We said, all right, it's all good to go. All we need now is just move to the new house. Everything will be fine. While we finally managed to close the deal, the challenge didn't stop there. We moved in the new house. We were so excited. We found out so many issues in the house. The house got a termite. 1/3 of the beam of the house got damaged. Is this house going to collapse suddenly? We don't know. We had roof leaking, water leaking, and so many other issues that the previous owner hid them during the inspection process. We had no idea. The deal was already closed. We have the house now. We had to deal with that. We already mentally and physically exhausted from the moving. Now we financially exhausted from fixing the house. Over time, we fix one thing at a time. Just breathe. And we just take one thing at a day to deal with the problem. Finally, 2 or 3 months after the day we moved in, the house got together. Everything seemed to be okay, but as if the stress of the home ownership wasn't enough, we were dealing with another layer of stress that affects our daily life. My husband hit his new job. It was so toxic. Every day he came home, it was horrible. People screamed at him. People just said to him, not very nice way. It was just very toxic environment. He constantly looked for a new job every single day. One thing after another. We just breathe. Everything will be okay. And finally, he found the job that he liked. He literally just accepted the job offer last night that he's going to start in October. Life will always present unexpected twists. But in those moments of chaos, remember to just breathe. Take things one step at a time and trust that you will find a way through. We don't know what's coming up. We don't know what other challenges may show up tomorrow, but we know that just breathe. Things will be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. It was interesting and important what you shared with us. And it relates very well with our theme, how to train your brain to stay positive. You breathe, you calm down, you start thinking positive. Now we'll ask the timer to give us 90 minutes to share our opinion with you, please. Thank you. Now it's time to ask our second evaluator, David Thompson, to tell us about the speech of our second speaker, to introduce our second speaker, John Graham. I know that David will do it in great detail because I remember the questions he asks when he evaluates somebody. It's very, very detailed and interesting. Please, David, share with us.
Madam Toastmaster, unfortunately, David is not present, so you need to quickly appoint a new evaluator.
Okay, quickly appoint. Sheila, how about you?
Tamara, I must decline. I'm already evaluating Sandra Savage.
Oh,
I can Zoom and evaluate if you like.
Oh, I can. Go ahead, John.
How about Muriel?
Someone else already volunteering?
Okay.
Did you want to do it, Muriel?
Sure.
Okay, Muriel, please then introduce John.
John Graham. I love John Graham. I wish I had some information written about John Graham. However, off the cuff, I will say that I know John Graham to be. John joined Toastmasters. Thank you. I'm so glad I'm literate. John joined Toastmasters in 2013. John was awarded his Distinguished Toastmaster Award in 2024. John is the President's Distinguished Area Director in Toastmasters District 1. John's favorite quote, leadership and communication are indispensable to each other. That was done by former President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. The purpose of John's project is for the member, that's John Graham, to learn or review basic research methods and to present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. John Graham will present a highly, not a lowly, John will present a highly personal story of DNA. It appears that the title of his powerful speech that we know is going to be gaining as much momentum as he's speaking and speaking and speaking, the title of John's speech is, you ready for this? You ready? Okay. The title of his speech is In the Threads of Our DNA. Let's give a rousing welcome to John Graham, Distinguished Toastmaster. I'm glad I didn't have to do that off my cuff.
Thank you, Muriel. Thank you very much. In the threads of our DNA, let me ask you a question. Have you ever lost someone only to recover them later in life? I want you to imagine for a moment that you hold in your hand the key to unlock centuries of history, the whispers of your ancestors, and the silent stories written in the very fabric of your being. That key lies not in books, not in artifacts, but within the invisible threads and momentum of our DNA. For generations, humans have searched for their origins. We've looked through family records, crossed continents in search of long-lost relatives, and piece together fragmented tales. But today, with a simple swab of the cheek, companies like Ancestry and 23andMe have made it possible to tap directly into the most ancient and intimate record of all, the code that links us to our past. DNA, the essence of life. With each strand, we are reminded that we are more than just individuals. We are walking, breathing connections to a lineage that stretches back through time. What once seemed lost to history is now found in the patterns of our genetic makeup. DNA, when translated, reveals secrets that otherwise would be dormant. But this is more than just science. This is a human story. Now imagine opening the results of your DNA test and seeing a map of the world light up. Regions you've never visited are suddenly connected to you. Tribes you've never heard of are part of your ancestry. What was once unknown is now intimately yours. Now, this technology helps people discover family they never knew existed. Children find birth parents. Cousins meet for the first time. Siblings who lived apart for decades are reunited. In the blink of an eye, a stranger can become family. Yet there's a deeper, more emotional realization. DNA testing reminds us of the fragility and resilience of human life. Our ancestors survived wars, famines, migrations, so that we could stand here today, breathing life into the future. But it also opens doors to a complex reality. As we search for who we are, we must be ready to face the truths we uncover. Some stories may be joyous, others more painful. Family secrets, forgotten histories, or legacies of trauma. In knowing there is empowerment, we understand better the paths we walk, the decisions that shape us, and the traits we carry forward. The past is no longer just the past. It is the foundation upon which we stand. DNA testing services offer more than just curiosity or entertainment. They offer closure, connection, a deeper understanding of who we are and what unites us. Remember, within each of us lie many stories. Stories told over millennia, passed down through generation after generation, encoded in the strands of our being. Let me tell you one of mine. Over 50 years ago, I lost my sister. Not to death, but to schizophrenia. Kathy was one of the most active and intelligent people I've ever known. At 16, she was a scholar and president of the Girls Athletic Association at Lakewood High School. By 18, she was slipping steadily into schizophrenia. My parents, Jack and Helen, tried tirelessly and unselfishly to get her help. She would be in one hospital or board and care facility after another. Inevitably, she would rebel, stop taking her medication, and run away. Could I have helped? I studied psychology and then counseling and community mental health. I did research at UCI on effective treatments for schizophrenia. I remember that Kathy once ran away with the family car, and I had to find it and her and disable it so others could come and help her. When she was 24, she gave birth to a baby girl. I was present the day Mary was born. The adoptive family did not want us in the picture. Kathy passed several years later. When my father Jack passed in 2020, I found a message in his ancestry email. Mary had traced down my father's DNA. She thought we might be second or third cousins. I knew differently. She was my niece. We bonded, became close, and I've attended the first 4 birthday celebrations of my great grandnephew, Teddy. That is how I lost and then recovered my sister. Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster.
Thank you, John. Before we ask the timer to put 90 minutes, it's 90 seconds for our remarks, I would like to thank Muriel for volunteering immediately, for introducing John so passionately, and for helping us all and John feel relaxed while laughing so contagiously. And now, Madam Timer, please, 90 seconds for everybody to give their comments.
It's time, Tamara.
Thank you. And we thank you, John. We know that you prepared your speech. We're still working at it till the very last moment, and it really touched our hearts. Thank you. Now it's time for Sheila to introduce our third speaker. Sheila, please introduce our president, Sandra Savage, please.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Do you remember the name of the teacher who praised you? And as a result made a difference in what you wanted to be when you grew up? Sandra K. Lee, now Sandra Savage, will never forget her fourth grade teacher. Now, a few years later, she is getting around to finishing her homework and using her 10th path, strategic relationships, as motivation. Today, she is employing the Write in a Speech with a Purpose project to tell us all about what is motivating her to finish her novel, Cadence. Sandra will use the strategic relationships path over the next year to build her pitch for editors, agents, booksellers, and ultimately the people who stutter, and American veterans. Speaking from the project purpose to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech and a defined purpose, and to present a well-organized speech on any topic, 5 to 7 minutes, Madam Timer, with her speech entitled, Be Heard. Welcome, Sandra Savage.
Thank you, Sheila. Regardless of my terrible spelling and atrocious grammar, Mrs. Delzer praised my story writing skills. From that moment on, I wanted to be a writer. After graduating high school, I went on to publish technical articles and full-length software documentation, factual stuff. But fiction? I had tried short stories and had some of them published in anthologies. But my attempts at writing a full-length novel overwhelmed me. I wanted to write stories that were moving, like Harper Lee in To Kill a Mockingbird, or anyone remember Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes? Those stories had meaning. And even though I had a really good story idea for my novel, I couldn't get the momentum up time after time to write the story because it was flat. That was until I met Chef Eugene when I was applying for a job as his sous chef. He stuttered, just like my first boyfriend, Tom Wills, that stuttered, but he was so good looking and he had the dimples and he could out-hit anybody in baseball, well, except for me. I remember how Tom had been treated, though, because of his stutter. Oftentimes, people didn't let him speak. They spoke over them. He was treated as invisible. And this was just like Chef Eugene. Chef Eugene was one of the best chefs that I ever worked for. He taught me techniques and skills and unbelievable flavorings, and he even got me to eat my vegetables, for Pete's sakes. However, I was the exception with him. All the other prospective employees that came in, I ended up interviewing them instead of Chef Eugene, because prospective employees ran when they heard him speak. They tried to get out of there as fast as they could. Our purveyors for fresh fish and produce didn't like coming in to get his order because it took twice as long as any other customer they had on their route. And expediting on a Friday or Saturday night when it was really busy was difficult, and we all had to figure out ways to get around the delayed speech he had just so that we could get the orders out in a timely manner. That was when it dawned on me what my novel had been missing: a purpose. I had a great story, but what was it leaving behind for my reader to remember? And just like a good speech, if your story doesn't have a purpose, if it doesn't leave an indelible mark on your reader or audience, then it's just entertainment. And that's not what I wanted. Remember, Harper Lee and Algernon. Sure, writing can be rewarding for a lot of people without a purpose. It can be a good way to get out their creativity. It can be a good emotional catharsis. It helps them connect with others or feel connected to others. It can also build a legacy if you're good. I'd like to be that, but I got to get the first one finished. It's great for personal growth, entertainment. Any of you who have written, like Sheila, and they know what it's like to have the satisfaction of completion and getting published. But I had not had a message for my story until I remembered Tom and worked with Chef Eugene. Suddenly, my book about a mechanically inclined young immigrant from Norway who joins the Navy became, and this is my logline, a heartwarming story about a young stutterer who is ridiculed until his Morse code eloquence is discovered in the completely silent camp of as a POW in North Korea. All of a sudden, there was heart to my story. Now, it may seem obvious to most of us who have heard people stutter that, we tend to run into their conversation and take over like we're trying to help them. And that's not the case. The issue isn't stuttering, it's how we react to it. And what I want from writing my novel is a different reaction from you and from my readers. I want us to let us be the change we wish to see. Paraphrasing a famous quote, let us be the change we wish to see, a world where every voice is heard. As I finish writing this novel this year, I ask you to help me develop my pitch. I'm going to be giving numerous speeches about the book, about the publishing process, acquiring an agent, self-publishing, and marketing. And I want you to not only help me improve and get those items ready to go, but to also absorb the respect and dignity that we should give to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. It was interesting and exciting to listen to you. Now, please, 90 seconds of silence for the feedback to Sandra.
Okay, it's time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madam Timer. And I can see the time for the speeches is in the chat. So maybe to save time, we will go straight to table topics and snap evaluations. Everybody is looking forward for that, to that. So table topics master, Vicky, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I need to get some momentum going really quickly. And as President Franklin Roosevelt said, be sincere, be brief, be seated. We are going to do table topics. I'm going to call on our 2 visitors. That's all the time I have. 1 to 2 minutes, and then we will do snap evaluations. A snap evaluation is that I will immediately call on someone to give a 1-minute evaluation of what you just heard immediately following. So everyone listen up. Here's my question for you to our theme. What would you do differently if you knew nobody would judge you? What would you do differently if you knew nobody would judge you? Okay, so let me call on John White. John, what would you do differently if you knew nobody would judge you?
Oh my goodness, I don't know where to start. I think I would, there's a lot of things because I've thought a lot about what people think. I think I would dance more. I do believe that some are given the gift of rhythm. I see it in my kids. My son has it, my daughter, it's a little more in the deep recesses. Yet, I don't know that I would ever be an accomplished dancer, but the joy that I see in other people and sort of the communal energy and just, and I love music, but I've often likened my reaction to the music I like a young Labrador retriever. I'm so excited, and by the time I've heard the song, I leave a mess. I don't want to get too explicit. So I love, what I'm saying, Ray, is I love the music. It's a central part of my life, and I wish I could tap into my dancing free without judgment. And of course, as we know, Muriel Shabazz, it isn't others' judgment, it's my judgment of myself. Because I say I'm not as good a dancer as I am at other things like table topics or whatever I'm currently struggling with. So I would dance. I would dance with freedom. I would dance recklessly. I would dance irresponsibly. I would dance perhaps when it's socially inappropriate, maybe in the middle of a meeting. That's what I would do. Thank you for asking.
Muriel, would you give him feedback in 1 minute or less, what you liked and what he could improve?
I'm looking at notes. I think that John, speech intention. John, I enjoyed what you had to say. It was very thoughtful. It seemed like you were really reaching to let us know what you would really do differently. And I thought about, knowing you a little bit for the last couple of years, I thought about you saying something a little more comical, because I think that you have such a low-key way of making us feel relaxed, comfortable, entertained, welcomed. And so I found that what you were saying very interesting. It grabbed me. I was engaged by what you were saying. I thank you for using my name somehow, somewhere, in what you did say. That's all I have to say. I'm trying to finish up my evaluation for John Graham.
Thank you.
Back to
you never know when you're going to get called on in this group, so thank you for playing along. Speaking of that, a little more momentum from our own Ray Sweeney. Ray Sweeney, what do you wish you spent more time doing 5 years ago? What do you wish you'd spent more time doing 5 years ago?
I couldn't care less. That's what I wish I'd spent more time doing 5 years ago. Not caring a little less. Just being a little bit more spontaneous. Taking life as it comes. In the wind. On the breeze. On the cuff. On the hoof. Enjoying yourself. You know, when you're a child, you have that childlike quality. You don't care. You're present. You're in the moment. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. All you're caring about is playtime. What's going on? What am I having for dinner? I think as we become older and we progress into adulthood, we sort of forget that those childlike qualities of how to play and be present and be in the moment. So now if you ask me that again, I would say I couldn't care less. Back to you.
I am going to evaluate that because I have a less speaking role than anyone else on this screen. Ray, excellent start. And thank you for using the correct grammarian term, I couldn't care less, not I could care less. If we could care less, we should care less, but you said I couldn't. I also think you used a tricolon, if I'm correct. Play, be present, and something else. I don't know. But well done. The only thing I would say to improve is your screen quality a little bit. And I don't know how much control you have over that. You're a little fuzzy to me. But other than that, excellent job. Thank you very much. It is now 10:03. Oh, do I have till 10:07? You know what? Because we are ridiculously behind in this club all the time, I'm going to end with these two, turn it back over to our president so she can get the evaluations started. Madam Toastmaster, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much, Vicky, and thanks everybody who gave such brief but very much to the point answers, interesting answers. Thank you all. And now I remember that Harold promised to help. Now it's the time for Harold to step in, and I give the baton to you. Please invite the evaluators to evaluate the speeches and whatever else your role requires, please.
Fellow Toastmasters and evaluators. The name of our club is Masters of Evaluation. And this is the time we're going to zoom in on evaluation. Now, some people may feel, oh, evaluation is a form of critical criticism. It is not. We evaluate to elevate. We want you to tell that magical experience of feeling uplifted as a result of our evaluations. And the first evaluator, now I only have two speakers listed. David was a speaker, and
we have three speakers.
Three speakers. Thank you. Three speakers, and the first evaluator I have is David Thompson. Now, have I overlooked, and also Sandra LaChance? There's another Muriel,
Yes.
Are you going to be evaluator also?
Yes, I'm evaluating John Graham.
Okay, and he's speaker number 3, right?
Number 3, I believe.
Okay,
He was number 2,
Actually,
number 2.
thank you,
and
John.
Sandra was number 3.
Okay.
Okay, Jasper is the first evaluator of Rosie's.
Okay, introducing a new Toastmaster, a dynamic Toastmaster, an intelligent, interesting person. Jasper, will you perform your duties as an evaluator?
Thank you, Harold. Rosie, really enjoyed your story. I liked how you started off with those emotionally charged questions. Do you feel out of control? Do you have those moments where you're so overwhelmed? And that's where you introduced your theme, just breathe. Everything will be okay. And what I like about that is you actually introduced each challenge and reminded us of that theme throughout the speech. So for example, the first situation that you brought up was the rental agreement, and then you explained all the stresses that were associated with it. But then you reminded us, just breathe. Everything will be okay. Then you brought us to the next situation where it was moving into the new house. And again, you were presented with new challenges, termites, roof leaking, you name it, but too bad the deal was done. But then again, you reminded us to focus on the positive. Just breathe. Everything will be okay. Then you brought us to the next situation where the challenge was your husband hated his new job. and he was treated so poorly. But then he reminded us of the theme. Just breathe. Everything will be okay. And I liked how you closed that with the final lesson, which is that in life, there will be moments of chaos. But then again, just breathe. Everything will be okay. Now, how can we make this speech even better? As I was listening, as far as the content, I noticed there was some inconsistency with how you reminded us of the theme. You started off with, in the beginning, everything, just breathe, everything will be okay. Then you mentioned everything will be fine. And then you mentioned things will be okay. I think to make it even better, stay consistent with the wording. So for example, everything will be okay. As far as performance, there was an opportunity when you brought up your theme of just breathe to actually live out that part. Just breathe. Everything will be okay. But overall, I really enjoyed your story. Did you achieve your goal? Absolutely. You did focus on the positive. You showed us the momentum in focusing on that positive. And as I was listening to Sandra's speech, she mentioned that the purpose of a speech is to leave an indelible mark. And this speech reminded me to just breathe. Everything will be okay. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for uplifting and thoughtful evaluation. Now, typically we have snap evaluations, but I'm not going to go there. Our next evaluator, evaluating. I hear something. Okay. Speaker number 2 was John Graham, and Muriel Sabaz has volunteered to evaluate him. Muriel, will you like to step forward and evaluate?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, distinguished Toastmaster Harold G. Thank you. John Graham. John Graham. John Graham. Yes, I love the fact that you changed your background because it gave me an opportunity to take my mind off of Masters of Evaluation and that beautiful logo that Jesper created. But I was able to focus more on you. I love the fact that you stood. So many times we sit because we're on Zoom and we're more comfortable that way. But you took the opportunity to stand. And I thought that that helped quite a bit for me to focus. I loved your language. Your evaluation and my comments are supposed to focus on a well-researched topic. I felt that you did really well with that. I want to talk about the language. You opened up with whispers of our lives, written in the very fabric of our DNA, invisible threads and momentum of their DNA. You included the word of the day, and so did I just now, Ray. Make note of that, please. This is more than science, it's human history. Tribes are part of our ancestry, fragility and resilience of our ancestors, breathing life into who we are, joyous and painful, legacies of trauma. DNA offers deeper understanding of who we are. Stories over millennium. John, you have such a beautiful, wonderful, engaging way with words. Oops, I'm sorry. There you go. Here I am. You have such a beautiful way with words. I just enjoyed listening to how you kept the connection with us as the audience just going. I felt your deep compassion, your love for your sister. I felt this wanting to hear deeper of who John Graham is. I felt that you were tearing up at a certain part of your speech. I could relate to what you were saying because the passion, the empathy, the sadness, as well as the joy, because at the end, you found your sister, you found Kathy, and you lost and you recovered your sister. I love the way you ended that. You tied it all together. You reminded us, the audience, of the title of your speech, Threads in the Threads of Our DNA. The takeaway was that we need to connect with our family members more, and that we are all family, and that we are each maybe part of a tribe, but each tribe is connected in some way. And you made that point really, really well. I would have loved for you had more than enough time because you did this in less than 6 minutes. I would have liked to know a little bit more about Kathy, a little bit more about Marianne, I believe her name was. I thought that you had enough time. Maybe you could have shown us a slide or two, a photo or two. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Marion Sabaz, for that wonderful, artistic, detailed evaluation. And our third speaker is Sandra Savage. And our evaluator for Sandra Savage is Sandra LaChance. Miss LaChance, would you like to start with your evaluation?
Yes, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Pardon me, it was not Sandra, it's Sheila LaChance. They get her name right.
Close enough. That's actually my daughter's name, Sandra LaChance, so I love the name Sandra. Speaking of Sandra, I loved her ambiance on the screen. I was surprised and delighted that there was no PowerPoint. It's been so long since I've seen her one-on-one on the screen. I just delighted. I was engaged. She has a warm voice, and she can think on the spot because she mentioned a quote that I'm probably sure that wasn't in there before, and she also used the word of the day, which tells me she can speak off the cuff within a speech. And my friends, that is an art. I'll tell you what else is an art, is she nailed the purpose of the speech being having a purpose for your speech. Ironically, her purpose was to inspire us to have a purpose. And so in my mind, that was an educational piece to inform us why it's good. And then she put the personal story of her friend that stuttered in there, which made it more solid and concrete. Why have a purpose? Why am I listening? As an evaluator and a speechwriter myself, it's important to remember for everyone, not just to Sandra, what do you want your audience to think, feel, or do? What do you want your audience to think, feel, or do? And she gave an example of that. Purpose, the message. The message, if you don't leave without a message, you've just watched a cartoon or an ad. It just doesn't stick. It's meaningless. It's just filling time. And what have we got? Only time in our lives. So thank you, Sandra, for that. A couple of suggestions that are very minor and that everybody here can use this suggestion. And that's when you start a speech and you're introduced to simply do this. Pause. Get everybody's attention grabbed into you. Make sure everybody's listening and engaged and got out of what they just heard and into what they're about to hear. So that pause at the very beginning, even though it might feel a little uncomfortable, if you count to yourself 3 seconds, a solid 3 seconds, it will automatically bring your audience in and engage them. That's the beginning. Now I'm going to talk about one more thing, and that's the ending. And I was telling our other lady speaker the same thing. Try not to end with a thank you. Pass it over to the other person, or here's a trick that might annoy other people, and I've done it and it annoyed people. Instead of saying even back to you, or certainly not thank you, because that's like a swear word in my vocabulary, is to simply mute. Then, usually if the Toastmaster is on cue, they know that is the ending. And boy, just like the beginning, it's powerful, powerful, powerful. So with her engaging ways, her way of bringing in the topic to such a point that it leaves us with a strong message, she nailed it. Friends, that's the way to give a speech. Back to you.
Thank you, Sheila LaChance. Pause. And also, there's always the pitch. And fellow Toastmasters, we have gained momentum in speaking and evaluating today. And evaluation is a skill, and it's a skill you want to learn. And there's a number of ways you can do that. Join Masters of Evaluation and pay your dues. I turn control to, I have suppressing this feeling I want to give a speech. Control to Tamara Evans.
No, you are the general evaluator. You have to ask for functionaries. You have to
Oh, that's right. I have
evaluate
two
a meeting.
functionaries.
You have a lot to do before you go away, Harold.
It is registered with me. Can I get the timer's report?
Okay, to save the times, I put all the times in the chat. Evaluator and speakers, and it's all there, so I don't have to go through this. So we can move on to another person.
Okay, the word master.
Yes.
Do you have a report, the word master?
We couldn't care less. But no, we can. We took notice. We listened. We used the tricolon. How many times? I'm going to share with you, but it was great. It was exhilarating. This meeting was fantastic. We started with Judith, who hit us with a sneaky old tricolon to start with. She knew she wanted to get it in fast. Start on time, end on time, and we have a good time. Come on, Judith. Round of applause for that.
Yay!
Then we had Tamara as our Toastmaster, who slid one in that you wouldn't have even noticed. Who noticed that it was Muriel's participation was so immediate, it was so passionate, and it was so contagious. Another tricolon. Well done, Tamara. Big round of applause for that one. So, guys, we had some fantastic speakers. Rosie, you gave us a speech. I'm going to give you some feedback a little bit. There was a few. Your favorite crutch is the word so, and you use that 6 times. So maybe just be a little bit observant of that for the future. And some of the words that you use in the present tense, and just try and practice them in the past tense. So accept offer would be accepted an offer. So this will help you with the English as well. So just have a look at that, some of the wordage for the past tense. We also had somebody who said, and I'm gonna give me some feedback. Raise your hand quickly. Who said this? I'm so glad I'm literate. All right, okay, Muriel gave it away with her laugh. It was Muriel. We had some fantastic words this evening. We had the word fragility, millennia, encoded, schizophrenia, ancestry, powerful words, as we heard from Jesper as well earlier. We also heard a quote tonight, one that stood out. Anybody pick it out?
Mine.
Give it to us.
Be sincere, be brief, be seated. By
That's a
Franklin D.
tricolon. That's
Roosevelt.
the tricolon. The quote I was looking for
was a quote
from Sandra. Be the change you want to see in the world. Okay, I'm not sure if the original source is Gandhi or it could be somebody else, but I think we all know it as Gandhi, right? Who else gave us a tricolon this evening? John White. I think you gave us a slippery little tricolon about your dancing. I can't remember how it went, but it was, when we look back on the recording, it was a tricolon. Muriel then came in with a tricolon on your evaluation, which was something comfortable and entertained, and it worked really well. Okay, who said to us, showed us the momentum?
Showed us the momentum.
Was that me?
Yeah, it was Jesper. Okay, momentum, we said quite a lot. I'm really impressed with the word usage there. But the overall tonight has got to be the standout winner that overtook momentum was the phrase, right? Just breathe. Everything will be okay. That was said maybe 11 times. Guys, give yourself a round of applause. Good use of the language this evening. Exceptionally well constructed sentences. Your use of the tricolon, take my hat off to you. Harold, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Word Master. You've done an exceptional job. Fellow Toastmasters, I'm going to return control to Tamara Evans.
No, you have to evaluate the meeting, Harold.
I hate to be, I'm very difficult to judge. But anyway, the meeting today was interesting. Was it outstanding to me? Yes. And the speakers were terrific. The evaluating was skillful. And we're masters of evaluation, so that is simply average for the course. I have no other report to give. I turn control to Miss Tamara Evans.
Okay. Thank you very much, Harold. Now it's time for my closing remarks. And I want to ask you, do you remember that I started by asking some of you 2 questions about the things you enjoy doing and about things you're grateful for? And why do you think I did that? How is that connected with our theme today? This is the reason. When we feel good, the better we feel, the more positive thoughts we will notice ourselves having. So it's good to find things every day we are grateful for, at least 3 things, to write them down or to pronounce them. Today I'm grateful for this and this. Or to have a little list with the things you enjoy doing and try to do them more often. That will make you happy. When we laugh, we become happy. Even remembering something funny that happened in the past can make us feel better and improve our mood. These are the little tips to take away. The conclusion I want you to take away from this meeting today is this. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. The harvest will bring either flowers or weeds. And we all have gardens that need tending. How does your garden look? Is it beautiful and inviting, or is it overgrown and turns others away? If we learn to train our brain, we will rule over that domain. Let's do it. Thank you very much. And now the time is given to our president, Sandra Savage. Thank you.
Thank you. There's that swear word again. But I do want to thank all of you who have paid your dues, but we only have a few more, about a week or so left to get our dues renewed. So if you have not renewed, please do. If you're not able to renew, please let us know. We don't want you to just disappear. So let us know. And of course, you're always welcome to come back and visit, but I want everybody to stay around. So pull out the wallet, get the dues paid, and we appreciate that very much. It's been a great meeting, small, and yet I think, even though I was one of them, our speeches today were outstanding, all of them, and our evaluators really put in some love and care in their comments and suggestions. And that was great. And I love how Vicki picked on herself to do a table topics evaluation. So good on you, Vicki. We meet again on the first week in October, the first Friday in October. What day is that? 6th?